Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Why Question podcast. This is episode 14,
Hello.
and today
We
we're
have
talking about.
lights. Look, with natural sunlight
Yeah,
for
we're
once.
actually doing it pretty early today, so there's light. But yeah, today we're
I
talking
don't
about
need to
why do
have
we
that.
lie?
I don't need to have that god
The the,
awful,
the prison
uh, the prison lights
interrogation light.
shining in my fucking forehead.
But yeah, why
But yes, why do we
why
lie?
do we lie? See, I never lie, so this is all you. I'm an honest. That was a lie. See what I did there? Why did I do that? I don't
Because you're a
know.
scam artist. That's why.
Why did I do that? Humor. There we go.
No, it's to prove a point that how easy it is for humans to just how easy it actually is for humans
Yeah.
to lie.
Do you think we're the only like animal that can lie?
I don't know. I actually don't know. I feel like probably not.
Do you think there's an animal like there's animals that lie?
I have a feeling if you it's probably some experiment that's been made with like
Mm.
chimpanzees or like something like that where they might have at some point noticed behavior that let's I'm just thinking of the spot, like let's say you tell them to do something and then they get a reward, and then maybe at some point to get more rewards they've pretended not to like have gotten it or whatever, like
Yeah.
just some sort of scenario like that
Or
where
like some sort of
it's not necessarily,
survival instinct, maybe.
yeah, it's as
Some
in
animal can
like
lie.
I need more food, so
Do
dogs
animals
are devious as
lie?
hell.
Do
Cats, oh, I can
can they
see a
do it like
cat lying.
conscious? Like, is it like? Is how we lie. We
Yeah, but
kind of lie
what do you
through
mean like
words, don't we?
what even is like what even is lying? Like you have to answer like what actually is lying to the bare bones of it to
Is
figure
it
out if other
I
like
was gonna
races
say
can do
it's
it
saying
or they're
something
like
that's not true, but then obviously animals can't do that. So it's like
it's
lying
not
can be
it's not
just
you can lie without saying
faking
something as well.
something. Like
Like you can lie without saying anything to anyone. Like you can
yeah,
lie to someone without answering the question at all,
that's true.
and you can lie without even speaking. Like, there's a lot of ways that you can. I guess that's more deceiving in a way if you don't like say it necessarily.
Yeah, but I've searched up animals that lie. They do. So it's a survival strategy. Birds
Yeah,
fake
that
injuries,
would make sense.
tend to have a
Oh
broken
shit!
wing to lure predators away from their nests. Damn. But yeah, faking injuries. Monkeys that cry
Faking death
wolf.
probably.
Um, yeah, some probably do that as
I was
well.
gonna yeah.
Play dead.
I was gonna
That's like
say
lying,
because
isn't it?
yeah, I was gonna say because lying doesn't necessarily just have to be speaking. Like, you can do many
Yeah,
different acts that are just not true.
yeah, pretending to be something that
For
isn't.
example, pretending like the bird pretending to be hurt
Yeah,
when you're not actually hurt. You're not saying anything, but you're
dogs
lying about being
dogs
hurt.
pretend to be hurt to get more attention from their owners
There you go.
when they're like limping and stuff. Octopuses pretend to be other animals. They can change its shape and color to look like other sea creatures, scare off predators.
That
That's
is
cool.
like prime level
That's
lying and
that's
deception.
crazy gaslighting.
That is
You're an
nuts.
octopus
That is
killer.
gaslighting. That is the gaslighting to the next level. Holy shit.
Cuttlefish that cheat on their mates. Damn, cuttlefish are
Does camouflage count as
players.
lying? No, camouflage. Well, yes, technically,
Yeah,
you're
you're
lying.
pretending to be like a tree or a bush or
You're
something, aren't you?
pretending to be something or someone that you aren't, which is like
Yeah,
deceitful of nature and also lying, regardless of whether or not. I mean, this is like that type of questioning is just more like is lying bad, which is not necessarily true. Like lying in many cases can be better for the person in a good way.
yeah. In terms of like
So
survival and stuff, it's
no,
a
or anything. It just depends on the situation. So lying in and
yeah
of itself is not necessarily a bad act. It depends what you're lying about or lying
yeah
like
true
for, like what the reasoning is for lying.
yeah
So there's a which great segue. We can now get into the reason of why do we lie.
yeah. The whole point of
You see that?
the
Yeah,
the
natural
podcast.
segue into the actual
Yeah,
question.
I mean, there's
Only
loads
here on the
of.
Why Question
I guess yeah.
podcast. Let's
You've got
go.
like a good lie. What would you say is a good lie then? Like
What we classify
that
as
we
white
do
lies,
a
as in
white lie.
like
Yeah, like protecting
that.
someone's feelings, isn't it? Kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, for example, I'll just take me personally. growing up, there was a huge stigma on gaming. We all know this. Everywhere in the media, like when we were like kids, everything in the media was just if you do gaming, you're a terrorist. Like they actually made that connection. You play Call of Duty, you're a
Yeah,
terrorist.
you want to kill
So
everyone in
to
real life.
the mom's side of my family, they were very much like, what is it called? Is it red pilled? Is it called when you like
I think
just
so.
believe everything the media says? I
Yeah.
think it's red pilled, right? They were really red pilled on the topic of gaming, as in like everything the media says about gaming is automatically true no matter what, because it's the media, and especially in Norway, we kind of trust our media because they're relatively like unbiased and quite objective about things. But for some
Yeah.
reason, about gaming, everything was always negative, and no matter what, and so everyone just kind of started believing it. Long story short, my dad was not of that type because he was gamer himself. He didn't care about it. He let me play games as long as I like behaved properly and like wasn't going completely insane. And he could see that there was no connection between playing games and being a fucking terrorist. So whenever I went to my dad's, I always played games however long I wanted. But every time my mom asked me about it, I
You'd lie.
lied and
Yeah.
said no. I didn't actually play games. I only played like for a couple of hours. Fuck it. Who the hell plays games for a couple of hours? That's barely enough time to load the game. Obviously, I was sitting there for like 6 hours just gaming away on the
Yeah.
Xbox with my brother. But to not have that discussion, which I knew wasn't true, my dad knew wasn't true, but they just didn't
Yeah.
understand at the time. I said no, I didn't play games when I did play games to avoid that
Yeah, it's like
confrontation.
a protection method
Not necessarily
from
protection,
a
because I had no
conflict.
problem. Well, kind of, but I had no problem with taking the confrontation and discussion. It's just it happened so many times that I just got tired of having to repeat
Yeah,
myself
yeah.
over and over, saying like there's no connection between violence and gaming. Like there's no direct connection
Yeah.
there. Something else has to be broken
But
or
some
not
people are
work.
just like stuck in the
Yeah,
mindset
and especially at that
and don't
time
open their
because the
mind.
entire consensus on official platforms was like gaming was bad. So to I guess technically get out of the confrontation, I lied about it and
Yeah.
just said that no, I didn't play as much as I actually played, just so they would stop constantly like nagging me about the gaming part. And I'd
Yeah.
say that kind of lie,
It's pretty
there's no
harmless. It's
there's no harm
yeah.
in me saying that no, I didn't play as much as I actually played because nothing changed. Like there was no difference.
Yeah. True, you're just avoiding a different See,
Yeah,
I
I'm
think
also
I'm
avoiding.
my kind of approach. I always like to try and change people. Like, I'll always keep going and be like, yeah, I did. Like, I'll be honest and then be like, yeah, but it's fine. I think I kind of changed into that to,
Yeah, but that's sometimes with people that doesn't work.
yeah, but I just keep going. I think that's
Yeah,
what
but
I kind
then
of,
at some point you end up just constantly having to sour the mood just to try and convince someone
yeah, but I'm stubborn.
of
Like,
something.
I know that I shouldn't sometimes. Like, I know there's times when I probably do something and then I'll be honest with like my mum or something about, I don't know, trying to think of like something random.
You trying to think of a scenario where you've ever been honest with your mom?
Yeah, well, I'm thinking of one of the many, what I can legally say.
My fucking phone won't charge.
But
Hold on.
like, yeah, I'll just be honest and then be like,
There we
yeah,
go.
but it's fine. But it's fine.
Yeah, but that didn't work with certain members of my family. No matter how many
Yeah.
times I tried to explain to them, like, hello, can you not be ridiculous and see that there's not like, it would be insane for there to be a direct connection
Yeah. No,
between
that's
like
true.
gaming and being like
Yeah, I think.
an actual terrorist. And at some point, you get tired of trying to explain the same point over and over again. So you do like the tiny white little lie of just saying like, yeah, no, I didn't play as much
Yeah.
as I actually played. They're happy because they think I didn't play as much. I'm happy because I don't have to constantly re-argue my own points over and over again, and we all just go on with our lives like
Just
no problems
carried
had.
on going. Yeah. What about bad lies then? What about
Oh God, there's where do we begin?
like
I think a
manipulative?
bad lie in if I take my own scenario, right? A bad lie would me saying that I'd never played games at all. Because that's taken it way further to the point where it's like now I'm lying about what I'm doing at all, just like on the grand scheme of things,
Yeah.
and
But
that
I
can
guess
be
it
like a
depends
bad
on your
habit.
motivation though. Like if you, it depends on
Yeah,
your
but that
motivation
can
to
be a
lie.
bad that could end up being a bad habit of then lying about bigger things instead of a
Yeah.
smaller thing of like okay, I didn't play, because they always ask like how long did you play or like how much did you play? Because obviously they realized I still played games. Because I said as much. I was like, yeah, I still play games. Just I don't play like 8 hours a day, which I did. I just said like, oh yeah, I play like two or three like every now and then just to have like fun, and they were like, oh okay. But if I completely lied about my entire behavior, saying like, no, I didn't play games at all,
Yeah, you start to dig a hole,
that
don't you?
all of a sudden becomes a really, really big lie compared to just tiny, like, smaller
True.
white lies. And it's not significant for that scenario, but that way of thinking
taking,
can
yeah,
be
yeah,
really
yeah.
dangerous.
Yeah,
Because
trying
then you
to
could end
like
up saying that about something else, like, oh,
manufacture a
this
whole.
other thing.
Because then
You're
it's a chain reaction. Then it's
exactly.
like, okay, then what were you doing instead of game? Like then you're lying about something
Then
else.
it's like, oh yeah, no, I was going outside with my friends at, like, in the park,
But then you have to
and all
keep
these other
like
things.
making up
And then you have to
new
keep piling on
things.
the lies
Yeah,
instead of just being like, no, I played games, just not as much. And I can keep going back to, okay, yeah, but it wasn't that much, but I still played games, so I also did that. So it's just like easier to not make it malicious or make it like a bigger thing than it actually
yeah,
is when you keep it to like smaller portions of, like, not lying about what you actually did, but just twisting the reality a little bit
yeah. I think it's like there's
instead.
almost there's a difference between a lie and twisting the truth almost. Like
They're
and
both
on
lies,
both,
but I think there's a difference.
yeah,
I think
it's
there's
like
a
a
huge
different scale
difference.
of a lie, isn't it? It's like it's one's. Well, when
But
you
that
say
depends on
twisting
the
the truth, it's
situation.
like, yeah, it can be good and bad. It's still the same as
Let's say if you cheated
lying.
on someone, you're like, yeah, I
Yeah,
cheated, but I
yeah.
only
In
did it
that
once.
situation,
But you actually did it like 100 times. So it's like, okay, you twisted the reality from 100 to
yeah,
1, but it's still a fucking terrible thing to do.
that's still a
Like, you're
bad
still an
lie.
asshole.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're still an asshole because you cheated. Like,
exactly.
no doubt about it.
And then if you just completely lie about it, it's still bad as well because it's still situational, isn't it? It's all if you're lying about.
Yeah, I think the very difficult moral question is, it's kind of like, if you've genuinely made a mistake, I don't think cheating could ever be classified as a mistake, even if you're
Yeah,
drunk.
no, I
Because
think it's a choice.
I think
Unless you get
you're
assaulted, like
making a choice.
that's
But if
not
you've
cheating.
actually made like an actual mistake, I don't know like what the example could be. The question is like, and they don't know about it, but they would
Mm.
be upset if they knew. Not anything serious or anything like relationship breaking. The moral question is like, do you tell the truth about something you know they'll be like annoyed
Yeah,
about, even if they don't know, and it won't affect it, or do you just keep it to yourself as in like, you know what, I made the mistake, I'm aware, I'm just not gonna
yeah.
do
Like,
it
where's
again,
the
and just
line?
bury it.
Where's the line of a like? I was thinking like maybe lying about something that won't impact someone's feelings a lot is okay. So and you're going back to your example, you know, the gaming thing, their feelings aren't going to be really hurt either way. If even if you told them the truth, they wouldn't
Yeah,
really be like,
if
oh
I
my
said
god.
like, oh yeah, I play games the whole day, they would most likely be upset and be like, oh no, like he's gonna turn into
But it's not the
a
end.
serial
It's not
killer.
like the end of the world.
Yeah, but it's not like the end of the world, as in like they're gonna stop me from like
Disown
going
you
to
or
my
something.
dad's next
Yeah,
week. Next week, it's not like that, but it's just gonna be an annoying situation because then I have to go through all the arguments
yeah,
again and like the discussions of like, it's just not how it works,
yeah. But
which
when it
I've
comes
gone through
to,
many times at
I
that
think
point.
when
But
like
when it comes to,
reality is impacting someone's feelings a lot. So the like cheating example, it's like the
I think
reality of
cheating,
it, the feelings are involved and going to be hurt, even if because it's like one of those things where deep down you always everyone always knows the truth. I think
yeah.
you can always
I think
instinctively
you get a
feel it.
feeling, you, especially if you've been with someone for a long time, you definitely pick up on those like subtle hints of
Yeah,
like, oh,
because I think body
you've
language
you're
changes and
acting a little bit
stuff.
weird, like
Yeah,
you're doing something. I'm not sure. I don't want to accuse you because that makes like a bad situation. But I feel like you've done something, and once that feeling
yeah,
starts to like come up, if you're not honest about it and just being like, yeah, I did this, I fucked up, I know, I'm sorry, like whatever. I think you kind of, I mean, I think you should be honest about big mistakes that could like potentially hurt someone like that.
yeah,
And again, I don't think, because I think cheating is like it's the one subject where I'm like, I can't defend it. I can't defend it no matter
yeah.
where your
No, it's
standpoint is. No matter what, if you're like, oh yeah, I got drunk. It's like, yeah, I've been drunk many times as well. I never had the
you
thought
still
of doing I was still there. Like I was still conscious. Like I
Yeah,
was still like aware of what I was doing.
yeah. I think
So you must
like
have had the wants of wanting to cheat before that happened for
the
to actually do it.
the bigger the lie, it's like the harder it is to convince, because you have to lie to yourself as well to actually tell a lie convincingly. Because if you're telling a lie, you know it's a lie. So subconsciously, I think you're
Yeah.
always going to exhibit behaviors subconsciously that kind of you can tell when someone's lying. That's how the like professional people find out you're lying, don't they? They're like look at your
Yeah.
expression and stuff. So then, yeah, I think the bigger the lie, the more you kind of know it's not real. The more you're like, ah, fuck. If this is like a big thing, if
Yeah,
it
and I think
and you start
that
to
moment,
get more nervous and stuff.
yeah, I think that moment is when the lie crumbles extremely quickly because you're lying about something so huge that your behavior has to change.
Yeah,
Like you have to fake change, you have to fake the reaction and like your own behavior towards something because the lie that's what I meant by like minor lies or like more twisting the truth between
yeah, yeah,
actual
yeah.
big lies. Like in my story, if I said no, I didn't play games at all of a sudden now I have to become a completely new person. I have to
Hmm.
like pretend to be someone I'm not because I have to fill that void of what I was doing with something that I never did. And at some point down the line, you're gonna end up saying something that didn't like coincide
Yeah,
with
don't
your
match.
lies because you'll forget what you lied about.
100%.
That's why it's a lie because it's not like real. Like if you're just honest all the way through, you can't get caught out in a lie because your reaction will be the same no matter
Because
what
you're aligned
happens.
with your, like, you know what's going, like, your brain knows what's going on
Yeah,
for
you
real.
subconsciously you're answering exactly the same as you
Yeah.
always have, and that's how you know it's not a lie. But when you lie, all of a sudden you're twisting the reality and you do like you're pretending to do something that you never did. So sometime down the line, you're gonna get caught out in a lie because you don't remember everything you've said the exact way it's been done,
Hmm.
and
Yeah,
other
because you've
people
not
will remember,
experienced it.
especially if they're suspicious of you.
What do you think about lying to yourself?
Oh, that's also a
I think it's an interesting. I think it can be it's another one. Like it can be used for
it's
good and bad.
it's another one of those like it depends on what you're lying
Yeah,
about
yeah,
and
yeah,
it depends on the situation. I mean if I lie to, I guess faking it till you make it is technically lying to yourself,
yeah, yeah. Because a lie
but
is when
that can
you're
be a good motivation.
saying or displaying something that doesn't match the reality of where, like, what you're living in. But if you
Yeah,
can lie to yourself enough, it's like the placebo effect. If you lie to your brain, if you can convince your brain a lie is real, your
and
brain takes it as
you
reality.
start living in that reality in your like I mean you start living in that reality for yourself even if
Mm,
it's not a reality yet, and that makes everything just align more with that reality at some point because you start doing
yeah,
everything to get to that reality. So that kind of lie is just not. There's nothing bad about it. Like you're just
yeah. That's like
motivating yourself
the
to
kind
go
of
further.
what the manifestation kind of people say. It's like
Yeah,
if
and then
you
but then you have
convince yourself, you've already got something, you've already become this person, even if
yeah
you're not there
exactly.
yet. If you lie to yourself enough, which kind of is, it's like yeah, you're lying to yourself, but then your brain, if your brain believes the lie enough, then that's when you start to actually become that person, and the good thing, like the things come to you. It's
Like you said, kind of manifest destiny, even though it's a kind of
it's just
cringe
lying
to
to
say it in
yourself.
that way. But yeah,
It's just lying to yourself.
you're
That's
just
it.
you're tricking your brain into
Yeah,
thinking you are something you're not yet, but you want to be
yeah.
there probably, or you want to become that. So you just go that direction.
Because your
And that kind of lie,
subconscious,
there's no harm. There's
it
no harm in trying to
yeah.
like
No,
motivate
that's good.
yourself,
I think
no
that's a
matter how
good
you
thing.
do it.
It's like your
But then the
subconscious doesn't
problem
know
is,
what's going on out
yeah,
here.
exactly,
Your subconscious just
exactly.
expresses what your consciousness impresses. It's us that
I,
takes in reality and like makes the decisions about how we feel about things, and takes it on. Our subconscious doesn't know what's going on out here. It just sees
I
it through
think
our filter.
the only way it can become slightly dangerous when you lie to yourself in that way is when you become too unrealistic of like your goals
Yeah,
and you start beating yourself up over not meeting those like unrealistic goals. Like even fake it till you make it. Let's say I was like, oh yeah, I want to be the richest man in the world within like 5 years, and then 5 years go by and I'm nowhere close, and I'm like, holy shit, I'm a fucking failure. Then
Yeah, it's
that
like
kind
if
of
you,
process is just not good. It's just not healthy.
yeah, but then
Like, you
I
have to make
think
some sort of a realistic goal that's like slightly out of reach, but it's also like achievable.
yeah,
If that makes sense.
yeah, no, 100%. And it's like as soon as you start beating yourself up, you've you're not believing the lie because the person who would be making it wouldn't be beating themselves up. Like the person who would
Yeah,
be
but
the richest person
yeah,
in the
but
world wouldn't be.
something like things happen all the time in your life. Like something. Let's say you're an athlete and you're like, I want to be a pro basketball player. All of a sudden, you get into a car crash, your leg gets severed.
Oh yeah, then you need to. That's just accepting reality, then, isn't it? But then you can still.
Yeah, but that's not you not believing in the lie. That's something happening that means you can't chase that dream anymore.
Yeah, but then you wouldn't. Would you
So
beat yourself up? You
there
wouldn't
are
beat yourself up though, would you?
100% you would.
But then it's not your fault.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter. Like let's say you have a huge dream of becoming a basketball star. At some point, at some
I
point
don't
you
think
have
you'd
an
beat
accident,
yourself
a
up.
car
I think
accident, and
you'd
your
be
leg
angry at the
gets
world.
severed, and you can't have like you can't chase that dream anymore. You'd have thoughts like, oh, I shouldn't have like gone out that day, or I should have done something different that day to like avoid getting to that
Yeah,
position. And at some point you'll get over that. But my point is that situation, you'll absolutely beat yourself up over it for
yeah,
at least a while. And then also that's not you not believing in the dream of becoming a basketball player. Now you literally can't. Like you're not physically able to. But you still want to believe in that dream. But at that point, you have to just accept reality and just be like,
yeah.
"Fuck,
I
I
think
can't.
you
I can't
change
become
your
that. I can't
direction,
become
then,
that
don't you?
anymore." Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, you have to set somewhat realistic goals that's like slightly out of reach, because you can't set yourself the goal of like, I don't know. Let's say again, yeah. Let's say I lose both my legs. I can't set myself a goal like, yeah, I'll be a professional athlete in
Hmm.
jumping. It's just not.
I mean,
You can't
You could do
believe
the
that.
Paralympics.
Not jump. I can't jump without legs.
You get prosthetics.
I don't think you can. I'm not sure if you're allowed to like jump in those.
Do they not have? They have Paralympic long jump, don't they? You crushing so many like amputees' dreams right now.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that's like that's not what I'm saying at all.
If you don't have legs, you can't do anything.
Not what I said at all. Not what I said. I said like based on your circumstances, there are certain things you physically or emotionally or whatever you can't do. Like there are certain things you just cannot do no matter how much you try.
Yeah, like yeah. There's obviously a limit. It's like I can't be like, oh, I want to be white.
If I mean Michael Jackson tried, he almost did it.
Okay, maybe not that. I want to be a woman. Oh, you can do that as well now.
Oh, you say trans don't have rights now?
No, no. I'm just trying to think of something I can't do. I can actually do everything.
No, but that's what I'm saying. It's like
Okay, that's a lie. I'm
at
telling
some
myself.
point there's a line where you have to be honest with yourself and say like, okay, this reality that I'm trying to achieve is not achievable to like a
Yeah,
normal amount of a normal extent, no matter how much effort I put into it. So let's maybe change the goal a little bit. Like let's change
yeah.
the.
Because if you keep lying to yourself, it's like it just gets hard. There's just more resistance, and it's like
That's kind of what
and
I
if
meant by
yeah,
the like when you lie to yourself about something unrealistic and you stop beating yourself up over it.
yeah,
It's like
yeah,
when you
yeah.
have a goal so unrealistic
It's just
that no
harder
matter
and
how much you'd
harder.
like try, it just doesn't feel like it's getting any closer at all. And that kind of lie can be dangerous then because you can lose motivation for other things in your life
Yeah.
because you're like, wait,
If
I
that's
can't.
when
No matter
I
what I
think
do, I just
if
can't become
you're serving
closer to
your
it.
goals instead of the goals serving you, I think that's the wrong way to go around it. Like you shouldn't be doing everything in life for your goals. I
Yeah,
think
yeah, which
your
is what
goals should
happens when
in
you
life
make
should be there for you, for your just a little bit of direction. It's not like they
exactly,
shouldn't be huge things that you're putting all your energy into because as soon as you do that, you're just getting attached to the outcome of something. And when you get there, you're gonna be
exactly.
like, oh, this isn't all it's made out to be. As soon as you're at that goal, you just want more and more and more. And it's like the grass isn't always greener as soon as you get to somewhere. I think. I mean, it
That's
always goes back
that's like
to what we say every week: is just be present,
it's
just live
all
now.
about the
Yeah,
balance.
just
It's all about the balance. But then you have the opposite side, which is just straight out bad lies. Which is, I mean, for me personally, if I said like, oh yeah, me drinking Coca-Cola every day, it's not bad for my
yeah,
health.
like convincing yourself it's
That's just like, what? What kind of like maths is
that's a
that?
bad lie. Yeah, that's
Exactly, that's a bad lie. I mean, sometimes I do take it in the weekdays, and I'm like, but I know it's bad. Like I'm not lying to myself and
don't
saying like,
say
oh,
I
this is
take it.
actually
You said I take it in the week. That
yeah,
makes
I
it sound
take
like
it.
the
It's
wrong
a
kind of
fine.
coke.
No, it is a drug, bro. Coca-Cola, the soda is a drug, man. People are addicted to that shit. It's
Oh yeah,
it classifies as a drug.
I mean, has it
But
got
yeah,
like caffeine in it?
it's not like I look at the bottle. I'm like, oh yeah, this is just water with some sugar in it. I'm not like lying to myself, being like, oh yeah, this is actually
Yeah,
not that bad if you like factor in all these other things. It's just like, yeah, no, it's terrible, but I also want to live a little. So, cheers.
yeah. I think if you lie to yourself like that, that's I don't know. I think that's just insane. Like if
That's,
you
but
if
that's what I mean. Like those kind of lies happen all the time for people, and
yeah.
that's a really bad habit to get
I think
into.
I think that's one of the worst habits you can have. Like lying to yourself and trying to
100%.
convince yourself that bad habits are actually just not doing anything. I think
It's in
surely
denial
people like
to yourself.
you deep
No,
down
you know
know
deep down.
that it's
Yeah, you
bad.
know deep down, but then the question is, why are you so obsessed with trying to convince yourself that
Yeah,
it's
it's just
not
that
what it is?
fear
Like,
of
if you,
like stopping and changing something. People are so scared to
yeah, it's the fear of change. I think
yeah
change
fear of the
and
unknown.
being wrong in this day and age and admitting you're wrong,
Mm.
especially now with social media, might be like the worst thing you could possibly do.
Yeah,
Like people are so unwilling to admit that they've been wrong about something. It is literally insanity.
yeah. People like it's almost embarrassing because more people see it as
Yeah,
well.
it is embarrassing. It is. I mean, it's always been embarrassing to say something and then be wrong about it because you feel
Mm.
like, oh shit, I've been stupid. But especially nowadays, because if you say it, everyone's like, oh, you're a stupid idiot. You don't know anything, and then they start questioning everything else, even though you
Yeah,
said something wrong like once, and you're like, okay, my bad. I did do that. But I think it's way easier to diffuse the situation if you just go like, if immediately you get caught out in something being wrong or like a lie, you just be like, my bad. I didn't mean it. Like it's just I'm a human. I do wrong
yeah. I think
sometimes.
and
It
I think it's
happens.
just dropping that ego. It's just trying to
Yeah,
realize.
and it's
It
the
goes back to
self.
last week. It's like not listening to the voice in the voice in your head is the one that
The
says,
voice in your head
"Oh,
isn't
I'm
lying to you in that
embarrassed."
situation,
Yeah.
and
Oh, should we do a little
I think it's
podcast
about.
link? What about
Bro,
the
we're
voice
actually
lying to you as
becoming
well?
meta about this. This is
The
incredible.
wide cinematic universe is crazy.
And even further on, for different like even further back, we talked about like self-preservation.
Hmm.
And I think self-preservation is a huge problem in today's age, in the sense of like admitting that you've lied or admitting that you're wrong
Yeah.
somehow impacts your self-preservation in today's world because of like social media and like likes and clicks and everything else.
I think
So
admitting
instead
that
of
you lied is one of the hardest things for humans to do because it's like
100%.
it's like you just keep that's when people just keep building on the lies and you
Yeah,
keep
you'd rather
snowballing it.
keep lying and doubling down
Yeah,
than from the beginning just saying
but it
like,
gets
you know
so
what,
much worse.
I did lie.
Yeah,
You know what, I'm sorry, I did lie. It wasn't meant to be, unless it was hurtful. But in most cases, it starts off being pretty harmless,
yeah. It starts off as
and pretty like
an
nonchalant,
instinctual
and pretty
like
like whatever.
survival thing.
Yeah, yeah. And then, but at first, I'm not saying for all lies, but for most lies, people could easily be like, "Oh yeah, I'm sorry, like I didn't mean it to like come off that way." But they can just keep doubling down instead.
Hmm.
Like the lie just keeps like building up and up because now you have to make up all these other lies to cover for that initial lie,
Yeah, it's like digging
and
the
it
hole,
just
isn't
keeps
it?
going. It just keeps going further and further, and then at some point, you're now stuck in a hole where you're like, "Holy shit, I have like 500 lies stacked up on each other
Yeah, and then
from
it all
this
comes
one thing
crumbling
that
down.
wasn't that serious."
Yeah.
Yeah, and now you look like a terrible person because now you're lying about like 1,000 things instead of just being like, "Yeah, I lied about that one
Yeah.
thing. My bad."
So I think initially it's always about protecting protecting yourself or protecting the other person. I think lies are always used as protection initially from
Yeah,
and
that's
then
what I mean by self-preservation in today's
yeah.
age, as in like
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
you're
yeah.
protecting your own image by being like,
Exactly.
"Oh no, I'm never wrong. I never lie. I'm like perfect.
But
But
then
then
as it goes
when you
on, it
get caught,
turns into like an egotistical thing of not wanting to be
and
embarrassed about lying as well.
especially if you don't get caught.
Yeah.
If you don't get caught in the first time doing it, that's like that's like reinforcing behavior. And after that point, there's no chance you're gonna stop.
I think that there's definitely people who obviously there's people who lie more than others, and
Oh, 100%.
and that all comes from the childhood conditioning and stuff like that. Because there's probably kids who had to grow up lying to protect themselves through childhood, like they subconsciously lied
Yeah,
to
I
protect
mean,
themselves.
bullies in school are only bullies because they have a terrible childhood or like terrible place at home,
Yeah,
and they usually have like a much worse situation at home than what they protrude in like school or like other places, which is why they become a bully because they need to let out the like
frustrations
frustration
and
and
stuff.
anger
Yeah,
that they have inside, and they can't do it at home because that's where that anger and frustration builds up.
yeah,
And it's the same with liars. Like people who lie more than others have most likely, like you said, that's one factor. Like grown up in a household where they were kind of forced to lie
yeah. Like
to
imagine
whatever
like
for
if the parents
whatever
were really
reason.
strict or something, and you're getting kind of punished for things that aren't like
Yeah,
don't need
you
to be
get beat
punished.
for doing things that they don't consider correct,
Yeah,
then obviously you'll start lying to not get beat. Like it's just.
it's a protective instinct. Yeah,
Oh, but we should talk about parenting next week. I'm telling
yeah.
you right now, I've got so many like things to talk about on
We'd
that
be great.
subject.
We'd be great parents, man.
People don't understand how
Should we
much.
adopt?
No,
Okay.
people don't understand how much you affect a child with your behavior, even like subconsciously.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like if your children catches you in like lying to your partner over and over again, they'll pick up on that shit and immediately they'll be
Yeah.
like, "Wait, hold on,
Even when the kid
you
like
said this
when
thing,
they're
but I
like
didn't. I saw you
babies,
do this other thing."
like the first few months, like babies, that's when they learn so much as well, and they're
They learn
conditioned.
like most things within like the first year or
Yeah,
something. I
it's
don't
insane.
remember like, but yeah. Either way, the the act of people lying more than others, I also think is reinforced
Hmm.
when you don't get caught.
100%. Yeah, because you think it's fine
If
then.
you
It's
yeah
positive
if you
reinforcement, isn't it?
grow up if you grow up lying constantly or like lying sometimes or whatever, and you
Hmm.
never get caught, you'll start getting better at it and doing it more and more
Hmm.
because you're like, hey, I can get away with it, might as well, and it also works in my favor. And then you become a pathological liar because he's like, that's just how I'm meant to be. Like this is just who I am.
Yeah, it's like
Like I have to
subconsciously
be this person.
that's your beliefs and your habitual thought patterns are then built to lie because it's been positively reinforced like a
Yeah,
like
and
a dog.
because of, I mean, just in my case, I've become so good at deciding or like determining whether or not I need to do like a white lie or not, just to
Hmm.
improve like the situation for everyone because of the gaming stuff and all these other things. So over like growing up, I become very good at being like, okay,
Like assessing the
what I
situation.
was, yeah, I'm like, okay, if I say this, this and this is gonna happen, but if I say this, this is gonna happen, the outcome won't be different. Sorry, yeah, the outcome won't be different, but the process to the outcome will be very
Yeah.
different. It's like either it's a very bumpy, annoying, like rocky road, or it's just smooth sailing. But I just like sprinkle a little bit of twisting
Sweetness.
the truth,
Yeah.
a little bit of twisting the truth, just so it doesn't become like bumpy. And I'm like, you know what? For everyone's sake, I'll rather just take the less bumpy road on this thing because it's not gonna affect anyone personally.
Yeah.
Either way.
I think it's emotional intelligence, really, isn't it? Knowing what you say and how your
Yeah,
behavior
yeah,
is going to affect someone. I think knowing how to
that
be
part
emotionally
is yeah,
intelligent is something that people should work towards and try and learn
100%.
because
But then lying just to lie is not emotional intelligence. That's just you're just,
you're just a
an
liar.
asshole and
Yeah,
lie.
you're
You're just a
just
liar.
a liar.
Because you
I
know
think it's
the.
an
I mean,
insecurity thing as well. I think
oh
people
yeah,
who lie,
hundred
it's an
percent.
insecurity complex because it's you're not accepting your reality. You want people to see you as something else, and that's just being insecure with who you are and where you're at.
Yeah,
That's why you have to lie
yeah,
about
exactly.
things.
Like Elon Musk lying about being a god gamer in. Did you see that in Path of
I think
Exile
so.
2?
Yeah.
He lied about being like the seventh best player in the server or some shit, and then he got caught for it. And it's like why would you even lie about doing that? Like, why would you even lie about being a good gamer if you're not? Like, who cares? Just say like, yeah, I like gaming sometimes,
It's probably
but
like to
I
fit
don't
in
have
as
enough
well.
time.
Like, yeah,
Yeah,
lying to like
that's what it
fit in.
was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
to
it's lying to
places
fit in
and
and lying because you're insecure about not being the best at like everything.
yeah.
Like, you can't be the best at everything. But that kind of like lying is just, it's so unnecessary. But you think, why would you even risk putting your own image in a worse position for a lie that doesn't help you, even if you were telling the truth?
Yeah,
Like,
I
let's
think
say he was a god gamer. Who cares?
risk.
Who
It's like the
gives a
risk
shit?
reward of lies is interesting. Like that could be a good way of
Yeah,
assessing whether to tell the lie or not. I think if you look
yeah,
at it
but
kind of
people are
completely rationally,
terrible.
but
People are
knowing how
terrible
to
at
do that. Yeah.
no, even if you do the risk analysis, people overestimate the reward and underestimate the risk
Yeah. No,
every
true.
single
Yeah, I don't
time.
think you could ever
And
get it right, can you?
no, you can't because you're not honest with yourself. That's
And
why
you
you
don't
want
know
to
the
lie in the
future.
beginning.
Yeah.
It's like if let's say you set up a table of like, okay, if I lie, this and I get caught, this happens. If I don't lie, I'm honest, this happens. And if I lie and I don't get caught, this happens. You will 100% of the time be completely wrong about every single one of those categories because you're trying to lie in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Like
you
you're
lie to yourself as
fundamentally
well.
wrong in the first place. Yeah, it's
But we
so
don't
easy
know
to
the
lie to
future.
yourself.
Yeah. No, 100%.
Exactly, and you're also, again, that's the self-preservation of your own voice in your head, being like, "Oh no, you'll be fine. Whatever happens, just do it."
Yeah.
But it's very, to me, it's a very interesting concept of like, how could you possibly come to a conclusion about lying when you're fully aware that if you get caught, it's terrible, but if you're honest, it's not even that bad.
Yeah,
Like,
that's the
it's
thing.
really
I think
not
we
that
really
bad. Like,
over
why?
exaggerate the future in our mind. Like we always imagine something that it's going to be so much worse than it is. It's like anxiety and stuff. We're all we all
Yeah, well, I
worry
think
about things because we think and then we think, oh, this is going to be so much worse. This is going to be. It's what's the saying? It's like we suffer more in imagination than we do in reality, and it's true
oh yeah,
because
probably, yeah, that
you
would
know
make sense.
most of the things you're probably worrying about now. Like everyone's always got something on their mind that's like, oh, this is gonna happen. This is
Everyone
gonna happen.
always has something that's like a problematic or
Yeah,
like something that they don't want to really like talk about or something that's like weighing them down. That's just part of life.
yeah, or like
The
an
question
event.
just comes down to the guy up here.
Yeah,
Like, what are you telling yourself? Are you
because
being
when
truthful
it
about your
actually gets
problems? Are
to
you
the thing
lying
you're
to
worried
yourself? Like,
about, it's not actually that deep. It's like I don't
well,
know
that's for
if
like most everyday problems. It's
yeah.
really not that deep if you really like take the root of like the problem, the root problem of whatever's weighing you down. It's really not
The
that deep in the
problem's
grand scheme of
always in
things.
your mind. Like the problem is always in your mind. It's never actually because in reality everything is a thing. There's actually no fundamental meaning to it until we assign that meaning in our own minds.
And life goes on either way. Like no matter what
Yeah,
problems you have or
like
don't have, life goes on either way. You still have to
you're
make sure that you
insignificant.
survive for whatever, how long you want to live for, and do whatever you want to do. So at some point, you just have to accept the reality and just be like, okay, I'm in this situation. What do I do
Mm.
now?
Yeah, because no
And not lie to
situation is
yourself.
kind of what situation is actually bad for us. I think when you're getting like beat up or something, that's maybe a bad situation because it hurts, like it physically hurts. That's a pretty bad situation. But then
Being like a
like an
small
actual
business owner
painful
and constantly being robbed, I'd say it's a pretty bad situation.
yeah, like the act of getting robbed is pretty. When you're in the
Or if
actual
the store gets
situation.
vandalized over and over
Yeah,
again, so you have to like shut down and you go bankrupt, that's also like a terrible situation. But ultimately, I don't think it's a situation that you can't get
but
out
then,
of.
yeah,
As
no,
in,
but
like,
even looking at that
surely
situation,
there's something you
that's a
can do.
situation that's over a bit of time. I'm talking about the actual situation is in the moment. Like if
Held
you're
at gunpoint.
held, that's pretty. That's like the amount of fear and survival. That's bad because that's like actual
That's life or death,
chemical. Like
literally
yeah,
life or death situation. So that's
that's like
that's
a
a bad
moment.
situation
That's
to be in.
bad. But it's like it's only. I feel
It's
like
got
it's
nothing to do
only
with lying to yourself. That's
that
just
moment.
objectively a shit,
Like
terrible situation.
that moment and yeah, getting like beat up where something's painful. Like that's a bad moment because it's objectively
Yeah, but you
painful.
mean like more
But
what
then,
is a bad situation outside of just the actual like
yeah,
physical.
I don't think any situation is inherently bad outside of that, because it's about what we assign, like that's all meaning we've assigned,
I think I mean there's an actual risk in a lot of countries of literally losing like your house and like losing a place to live because you
Yeah,
don't earn enough money and you can't get a job. I mean that's a genuine problem, especially nowadays that we see more and more.
yeah, it's definitely a problem, but it's a problem because we've assigned it the meaning of being a problem. But in the moment of, say, losing your house, you're not actually in any like immediate danger, like to your survival in primitive brain. It's
Oh,
actually
okay,
not
I know
a
what you mean.
inherently bad situation,
Well, yeah,
but it's like
it's
bad
not
in our terms
right,
of how we see the world, and
but
like
it will. That's the self-preservation coming in because you know
yeah,
that if you
it
don't do
can lead
something,
to
it will lead to
hmm,
that situation, which it's like that's our whole reasoning for being where we are today. It's our self-preservation and
yeah.
being like, oh, I know this situation will happen, therefore I'm gonna do this and this to make sure it doesn't happen.
But even then, I think we don't know that things are going to happen as well. Like we can't definitely say if you lose your house, you don't know what's going to happen for sure. Obviously, yeah,
Well,
you
yeah,
can look at the
yeah, no,
facts. I don't have a home. That's not a bad thing until the bad situation would be, the fear of being on the streets and getting robbed or something. Then that's the actual bad moment that you're just scared of. But then all the moments
yeah, I know what you
before,
mean.
those moments
It's not
aren't
like yeah,
inherently bad. It's just your anticipation that's actually causing you any discomfort. And again, that anticipation is all in your mind. Going back to the original point, you know.
yeah, I know what you mean. I still would it's definitely still need to have that way of thinking
100%, yeah,
to
because we are human.
to
We still operate in this
you
world.
see. Yeah, I think again, just the main problem is how much you lie to yourself about it. Like
Yeah,
how far do you take it in either
and how much you
direction?
let it affect you. Because like people get that kind of
Exactly.
when it comes to like okay, losing your home is a pretty big thing, but people have the same sort of anticipation that something bad's going to happen in other situations, like maybe a
Oh
first
yeah,
day of
yeah,
work.
yeah,
Like it
yeah.
might say if I was anxious about my first day of work, like oh this could happen, this
Yeah, I
could
know what you
happen.
mean.
Those kind of
We're
situations, it's like looking at it like that, where okay, it's not actually a bad situation. It's genuinely or
or
it's
I don't know,
just the
like just
anticipation.
anything else at all where you're like this situation is not actually that bad,
Mm.
but in your own head you're like, oh, this is like
You
the
lying to
worst thing
yourself,
that could.
yeah,
Yeah, you're lying to yourself. Like this is the worst thing that could ever happen to me if this goes wrong. And it's like, yeah, but is it? Is it
yeah,
really the worst thing that could happen to you if it goes badly? Like even if
exactly.
you completely flop, just you. And I think I don't know. I think that's the main takeaway from this one because we need to wrap it up because I gotta go.
Yeah,
But I think the main takeaway from this is that you have to be really aware and really conscious of how much you lie to yourself, even
yeah,
subconsciously. Like how
100%.
much and how bad is the lie? Like how far are you dragging yourself down mentally
Yeah,
with your own lies?
I think it comes back to the awareness, doesn't it? Like we always say, just be aware of what's happening. Don't let yourself just lie to yourself or other people without
Yeah, don't let
realizing
it
what you're
take
doing.
over.
Like,
Don't let it like
just
take over
notice it.
your thoughts.
Like, okay, it still might happen. You're still gonna lie to yourself sometimes. You know, you might lie to yourself and say this situation is gonna be bad, but just notice it happening, and then you'll be like, oh,
Yeah, my
wait,
dad wants to call, so I
yeah,
need to
don't get
go.
sucked into it. But yeah, well, thanks for listening, guys. We will see
We'll see you
you next week for
next
episode
week.
15. Goodbye.